What if I told you that the difference between retiring at 65 and retiring at 45 comes down to one decision you're probably not making right now? We're talking about growth investing. And if you're sleeping on it, inflation and time are already eating your lunch. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Parking your savings in bonds or a basic savings account is basically a polite way of letting your money take a nap while the cost of living does cardio. The math is brutal. Cash earning 2 or 3% annually while inflation runs hot means you're technically losing ground while feeling safe. Now let's talk about what actually builds wealth at speed, and that's putting your capital to work in higher return assets like broad stock index funds, ETFs, and REITs. Think of it like this: bonds are a slow-moving river, but the S&P 500 is a current that's historically pulled everything downstream at roughly 10% annually over the long haul. Since 1926, the S&P 500 has delivered average annual returns that would turn a modest, consistent investment into something that looks almost absurd on paper. We're talking about the kind of compounding that makes your future self want to send your present self a thank you note, or at the very least, a fruit basket. But here's where we pump the brakes just slightly, because past returns are not a promise, they're a precedent. The market has handed investors both champagne moments and gut punch years, sometimes back to back, and you need to be ready for both. The psychological warfare of volatility is real. Watching a portfolio drop 20 or 30% in a correction will test every philosophical conviction you thought you had about long-term investing. Experts like Warren Buffett have said the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. And honestly, that quote lives rent-free in the minds of every serious investor for good reason. History gives us a roadmap worth studying. Every major crash from 1987 to 2008 to the pandemic drop of 2020 recovered, and then some. The irony is that every single one of those crashes felt permanent and unique in the moment, even though the pattern of recovery was remarkably consistent. Here's the practical playbook, and it starts with one simple question. What is your time horizon? If you've got 15 or 20 years before you want to retire early, you have enough runway to absorb volatility and let compounding do its heavy lifting. Diversification is not a buzzword, it's your insurance policy, and it means spreading exposure across growth assets like index funds and ETFs while keeping a reasonable allocation in more stable instruments. The classic misconception is that diversification means you own a lot of different things. The truth is, it means your things don't all fall at the same time for the same reason. REITs deserve a special mention because they let everyday investors access real estate returns without buying a single building. And historically, they've offered both income and appreciation. Think of a REIT as your backstage pass to the commercial real estate world. You get the benefits without having to deal with a broken boiler at 2 in the morning. Rebalancing is the discipline that most people skip, and it's basically the investing equivalent of going to the gym consistently instead of just January 1st. Set a schedule quarterly or annually to realign your portfolio back to your target allocation, because without it, a bull run in equities can quietly leave you dangerously overexposed. The closer you get to your early retirement target, the more you shift risk off the table. This is called a glide path, and it's the difference between landing a plane and crashing one. Matching your risk exposure to your proximity to the finish line is not timidity, it's just smart engineering. Position size matters more than conviction. This is the lesson that separates experienced investors from people who go all in on one thesis and then have an existential crisis when it doesn't work. Moderate, disciplined, unemotional allocation beats heroic bets every single time over a long enough timeline. The community wisdom on this is surprisingly consistent. It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. And that's not a cliche. It's a compounding fact backed by a century of data. Slow, steady, process-driven investing is the most boring success story you'll ever tell, and it's the one that actually works. At the philosophical level, the goal of early retirement through growth investing isn't just about the money. It's about buying back your time, which is the one resource that doesn't compound no matter how good your portfolio is. Discipline, sizing, and consistency are the 3 levers that determine whether this strategy works for you or just sounds good in a video. We don't control what the market does, but we absolutely control how prepared and positioned we are to to respond to whatever it does. And that calm, rational preparation is what separates people who retire early from people who meant to. Whether the next decade is a roaring bull run or a grinding correction, the investors who follow process will look back and exhale while everyone else scrambles. If you're ready to take meaningful steps toward accelerating your path to financial independence, check out our links in the description below, where we can help you get started, whether in real estate investing, home contracting work, or finding lenders.